Have you ever questioned why you were born in the specific month you were? Not from a place of curiosity, but from a soul-level wondering. Why then, in that season, under that sky? What if that moment held more than biology or chance? To most, birth months are calendar trivia, a footnote in medical records. But to Carl Jung, time was never neutral. It was symbolic. It carried mood, meaning, and myth. And your birth month? He saw it not as a date, but as a psychological signature, an imprint of nature's energy that subtly shapes your personality, your emotions, and your life's inner direction. Imagine for a moment that the very atmosphere you were born into, the temperature, the light, the rhythm of nature, entered your unconscious as a silent blueprint, that the symbolic climate of your arrival whispers through your emotional responses, your deepest longings, even the roles you're drawn to in relationships. This may sound mystical, even strange, but in Jung's eyes, it's not superstition. It's soul logic. Jung believed we are born into patterns, archetypes, that live in the collective unconscious. These archetypes don't just appear in myths or dreams, they appear in you. And the cycle of months, much like the cycle of seasons, reflects those same archetypes. Birth in the stillness of January carries a different psychic tone than birth in the fire of July or the turning leaves of September. Each month possesses a distinct psychological atmosphere, like a doorway into a particular emotional and symbolic world. A child born in March, when ice gives way to growth, may embody the paradox of winter and spring, an inner tug-of-war between caution and courage, silence and emergence. One born in July may carry the fullness of summer with energies of expression, nurture, and illumination. Jung didn't suggest that these forces control us. He suggested they speak to us. They offer us insight, a mirror, a symbolic framework through which we can begin to understand why we are the way we are. This isn't about fitting people into rigid boxes. It's about unfolding what's already inside you, your emotional language, your shadow tendencies, your spiritual orientation. Because once you see your birth month not just as a fact, but as a symbol, you begin to see your entire life differently. You see the script you were handed and the parts you're meant to rewrite. In this journey, we'll explore how each month of the year holds its own energy, its own archetype, its own silent invitation to know yourself more deeply. And somewhere in that rhythm, you'll begin to recognize the hidden intelligence behind the timing of your birth. Let's begin. There is something profoundly symbolic about the first quarter of the year. It does not simply mark the turning of a calendar page. It carries with it the invisible energy of emergence, of slow awakening, of ancestral memory stirring beneath the soil. These first 3 months, January, February, and March, each carry a distinct psychic atmosphere, shaping the inner landscape of those born within them. And in Jungian terms, this shaping is not accidental, it is archetypal. These individuals are born into the heart of winter's silence or the first tremors of spring's awakening. They carry the vibration of stillness, of change, of spiritual rebirth. To understand these months is to glimpse the soul's earliest imprint. January, the elder or the sage. January is a month of silence, not emptiness. Its coldness is not cruel, but clarifying. In many parts of the world, it is a time when nature withdraws into itself, when life slows, when the earth seems to whisper, "Be still and listen." Those born in January carry the psychic echo of this quiet. Jung associated this month with the archetype of the elder or the sage, the one who sees beyond the noise of the world and listens for deeper truths. These are the individuals who seem older than their years, who speak sparingly but carry the weight of experience when they do. Their wisdom is not learned from books alone, but felt in the marrow. They often value discipline, responsibility, and the slow unfolding of truth. There is a gravity to their energy that makes others feel anchored. Yet the shadow of this archetype is detachment. Too much seriousness can turn into emotional coldness, an inability to dance with life's spontaneous joy. January-born souls must remember that wisdom does not always wear a solemn face. Sometimes it arrives through laughter, through lightness, through play. February, the visionary or the revolutionary. If January is the stillness of the soul, February is its awakening mind. Something begins to stir beneath the frozen ground, a pulse, a whisper of possibility. Jung saw February as governed by the visionary or the revolutionary archetype. These are the ones who see what others cannot. Those born in February are often intuitive rebels, not out of defiance, but out of insight. They glimpse the future. They question the present. They are not here to repeat old systems, but to reimagine them. Even as children, they may have felt out of place, too different, too imaginative, too independent. But these are not flaws. They are signatures of the archetype. Visionaries often live between worlds, one foot in reality, one foot in a dream. Their gift is innovation. Their struggle is integration. They may feel misunderstood, isolated by the very depth of their ideals. The path for the February-born is to bring their inner blueprint into the external world, not to escape into imagination, but to root their creativity into something tangible. March, the reborn or the awakener, or the O. And then comes March, the month of becoming. In the Northern Hemisphere, March signals the first breath of spring, the moment when what was dormant dares to rise. Jung saw this month as belonging to the reborn, or the awakener. It is the archetype of renewal, of crossing the threshold from darkness into light. People born in March often carry a kind of emotional luminosity, a deep and quiet sensitivity that makes them feel as though they are in constant conversation with the unseen. They are not fragile, though they may appear so. They are resilient shapeshifters, able to regenerate from pain, to transform sorrow into insight. There is often a strong creative or spiritual essence within them, something that seeks beauty, meaning, and truth in everything. But their greatest gift can also be their greatest burden. Emotional depth, when not contained, can flood the psyche. The March-born must learn to ground themselves, to hold boundaries, to balance their inner tides with the structure of outer life. When they do, they become powerful guides of renewal, not just for themselves, but for others. Together, these first 3 birth months carry the energies of wisdom, vision, and rebirth. They are not accidental timestamps. They are spiritual coordinates, and if you were born in one of these months, you may already sense it, the quiet depth of your beginning and the sacred imprint it left on your soul. There comes a moment in life when you feel the pressure to define who you are, not just for others, but for yourself. This pressure often intensifies in adulthood when expectations pile up and the soul yearns for something deeper, something truer. The months of April, May, and June reflect this inner landscape vividly. They are not simply markers of time, they are psychic initiations, each carrying a symbolic energy that mirrors the core lessons we must face when we are caught between movement and meaning, between longing and loyalty, between knowing and not yet knowing. To understand the soul imprint of those born in these months is to recognize the archetypal forces at play, the warrior, the builder, and the seeker, and how they continue to shape our lives regardless of when we were born. April, the warrior or the initiator. April does not knock politely. It arrives with the force of blooming storms and impatient winds. Life quickens. Something within us stirs to action. This is the psychic energy of the warrior, the archetype of motion, courage, and raw will. People born in April often carry this flame in their spirit. Even as children, they are the ones who charge ahead, who leap before asking, who burn brightly with purpose, even before they have a clear map. This is not recklessness. It is the soul's instinct to carve a path forward when no path is offered. Their energy is magnetic. They lead not by command, but by being the first to rise, the first to try, the first to stand when others hesitate. But this same fire can consume if untended. The warrior's shadow is found in exhaustion, in impulsivity, in a heart that breaks from always pushing. The lesson for April-born souls, and anyone who identifies with this pattern, is this: not every battle must be fought. Sometimes true courage is restraint. Sometimes growth is knowing when to pause. In a world that worships action, the soul of the warrior must also learn the discipline of silence. May, the builder or the lover of simplicity. As April burns, May breathes. It arrives not as a gust, but as a gentle settling. The air feels slower, softer, more grounded. May holds the essence of the builder, the archetype who finds meaning in the tangible, in what can be touched, savored, nurtured, and sustained. People born in May often embody a calm and sensual presence. They are the ones who appreciate the small things: a well-cooked meal, the scent of earth after rain, the rhythm of a familiar morning. There is a beauty in their consistency. They bring steadiness to chaos, loyalty to relationships, and presence to the moment. But the builder, if over-attached, can fear change. They may hold too tightly to comfort, to routine, to what is known, even if it no longer nourishes them. And yet, life demands movement. The soul cannot grow if it is only trying to preserve. For May-born individuals, and for those drawn to this archetype, the deeper work is not to abandon simplicity, but to let simplicity evolve. To trust that what is real will remain, even as they stretch toward something new. In a world obsessed with more, their quiet wisdom reminds us of the sacredness of enough. June, the seeker or the mediator. If April starts the fire and May builds the home, June opens the door and asks, "What else is out there?" This is the month of curiosity, of connection, of light both external and internal. According to Jungian symbolism, June carries the essence of the seeker, the one whose soul is always listening, always wondering, always reaching beyond the surface. People born in June often have a natural gift with language, relationships, and ideas. They are the connectors, the question askers, the ones who see patterns where others see fragments. Their energy is bright, but not shallow. Beneath their playfulness lies a deep hunger for truth, for a life that feels not just lived, but understood. Yet with this openness comes a challenge. The seeker can lose themselves in the very act of seeking. Too many roads, too many voices, too many desires are pulling them in different directions. They may struggle to decide, to commit, to stay grounded when their mind dances with possibilities. Their sole lesson is this: curiosity must be anchored in self. It is only by coming home to themselves that they can walk in the world without losing their way. Together, these 3 months mark not just the middle of the year, but the middle of the inner journey. The warrior awakens the fire. The builder lays the foundation. The seeker opens the mind. If you were born in one of these months, or if you carry their archetypal energy, your path may oscillate between action, stability, and discovery. The task is not to choose one over the other, but to integrate them. And in doing so, you begin to live not by the world's calendar, but by your soul's seasons. There are seasons in life when warmth does not come from the sun, but from the soul of those who hold others close. In times of confusion, pain, or transition, we are drawn to certain people not for their answers, but for their presence, for the way they seem to radiate safety. This deep instinctive ability to protect, nurture, and restore is not taught. It is born. It is embodied most powerfully in the archetypal energies of July, August, and September, months that do not merely pass through summer but carry its psychological essence. Through these months, Jungian archetypes reveal inner roles we are often unconsciously playing: the nurturer who absorbs pain to give peace, the sovereign who leads with vision, and the analyst who seeks order amid life's beautiful mess. To understand these archetypes is to understand the hidden soul contract we've made, not only with others, but with ourselves. July, the nurturer or protector. July enters not with spectacle, but with softness. It is the warmth of long evenings, the laughter of familiar voices, and the unspoken rituals of belonging. Those born in July often carry this resonance within them, the quiet strength of emotional presence. In Jungian language, they embody the nurturer or the protector, the one who notices what others overlook, who hears the pain behind polite words, who wraps their energy around those they love like an invisible shield. These individuals are deeply attuned to the emotional temperature of their environment. They sense before others speak. They offer care before it's requested. They give without needing recognition. It's not performance, it's instinct. They often become the emotional heart of families, friend groups, or even workplaces, holding space when others fall apart. But in the quiet of the night, many of them carry an ache they cannot name, because the nurturer's greatest strength is also their deepest wound, the habit of forgetting themselves. When your life revolves around meeting everyone else's needs, your own slowly become invisible. This is the nurturer's shadow. They may suppress anger to avoid conflict, smile through sadness to keep harmony, or stay silent to protect the peace. Over time, this creates an inner split, a slow abandonment of self in the name of loyalty. For July-born souls, the path to wholeness begins with a radical act of self-inclusion. They must remember that boundaries are not barriers, but sacred containers of energy, that their sensitivity is not a weakness, but a form of intelligence, that to truly care for others, they must first honor the one heart that beats behind every act of love, their own. August, the sovereign or the inner leader. Then comes August, glowing like a flame at its peak. It brings with it not just heat, but illumination. People born in August often carry an aura that is difficult to ignore, not because they are loud, but because something in them refuses to shrink. This is the sovereign, the archetype of the king or queen who does not dominate through force, but leads through presence. Their power is not rooted in ego, but in clarity of purpose. Jung would describe this as an expression of the individuated self, the part of us that seeks to actualize inner authority rather than chase external approval. August-born individuals often possess natural leadership abilities, charisma, and a sense of personal destiny. They don't just want to be seen, they want to do something meaningful with their visibility. Yet every crown carries its weight. The sovereign's shadow is pride, control, and emotional isolation. When their vision is misunderstood or their leadership is questioned, they may retreat into distance or become overly rigid. They may over-identify with their role and forget the soul beneath the title. Growth for the August spirit lies in remembering that true leadership is shared power, That strength is amplified by vulnerability, and the most impactful leaders are not those who command the most followers, but those who create more leaders. To walk with grace is to know when to speak and when to listen, when to lead and when to let others shine. September, the analyst or the inner architect. As the golden light of summer begins to tilt toward the shadows of fall, September arrives. It whispers of change, of preparation, of quiet introspection. Those born in this month often feel most alive when the world begins to slow down. They are the thinkers, the organizers, the ones who bring logic to chaos and symmetry to the fragmented. This is the analyst, the archetype that strives to understand the world through reason, detail, and structure. Jung understood this as a necessary function of the psyche, to discern, to sort, to analyze. September-born individuals often have sharp intellects and an eye for precision. They are the ones who plan for what others overlook, who anticipate needs before they arise. But the analyst, too, carries a shadow. In their quest for perfection, they may lose sight of beauty. They may become overly self-critical, unable to tolerate uncertainty, or paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. Their growth lies in learning to dance with disorder, in embracing the unknown not as a threat, but as a teacher, in allowing life to be, at times, unstructured, emotional, and messy. For the analyst to evolve, they must step into the unknown and trust that meaning is not only found in logic, but also in the wildness of life itself. Together, these 3 months teach us that strength wears many masks. It may appear as softness, as vision, or as clarity, but beneath each is a shared truth. To live fully, we must integrate the parts of ourselves we've long protected or neglected. Whether you were born in July, August, or September, your soul may carry echoes of these archetypes. The invitation is not to fit into a box, but to awaken to the deeper purpose of your birth month, not as a label, but as a portal into your truest self. As the calendar approaches its final chapters, the world itself begins to whisper rather than shout. The air grows cooler, the trees offer their last bursts of color, and a certain hush begins to settle, not just in the landscape, but in the soul. It is here, in these sacred closing months of the year, that deeper archetypal forces stir beneath the surface. The months of October, November, and December do not merely signal the end of a cycle, they invoke the beginning of an inner passage. These are not months of action, but of transformation, of inward refinement, symbolic death, and spiritual insight. And for those born during this mystical season, the blueprint etched into their character often reflects these quiet, potent energies. October, the archetype of the diplomat or the artist. October arrives with elegance. It does not demand attention, but captures it anyway, through the brilliance of changing leaves, the symmetry of golden light, and the subtle perfection of nature's last warm sigh. Those born in October often carry this equilibrium within. Governed by the archetype of the diplomat or the artist, they are attuned to the unspoken needs of others, drawn instinctively toward harmony, beauty, and emotional coherence. They are the ones who feel out of sync when others are at odds, who speak with gentleness but think with depth, who instinctively reach for understanding rather than opposition. Their presence has the rare ability to soften sharp edges, to turn disagreements into dialogue and discord into art. In Jungian terms, this is the function of the mediator, the bridge between opposites. These individuals can see both sides of a story, both truths within a paradox, and often feel called to restore balance in chaotic environments. Yet the shadow they carry is as refined as their gifts, an aversion to conflict so strong that they may silence their own truth to keep the peace. In doing so, they risk betraying their inner voice. Growth, for the October soul, is the art of conscious confrontation, learning that true peace is not the absence of disagreement, but the integration of honest expression. Their healing begins when they stop fearing disharmony and start trusting the power of authentic resolution. In this, their diplomacy becomes divine. November, the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. With November comes a turning inward. The world grows darker, quieter, and more still. It is no coincidence that many cultures associate this time with honoring the unseen, the ancestral, the spiritual unknown. November-born individuals often walk with this same silent gravity. They carry the signature of the alchemist or the deep transformer, souls forged in the fire of inner depth. These are people who instinctively seek what others avoid: the buried, the painful, the real. They do not fear the darkness, they study it. They know that what we suppress becomes what controls us, and they are willing to meet their inner shadows, not to be consumed by them, but to reclaim their power. Their lives are often marked by cycles of shedding and rebirth, emotional, spiritual, or relational transformations that dismantle everything they thought they were, only to reveal who they truly are. And yet, this gift of depth is not easy to bear. It can feel isolating, heavy. They may struggle with the feeling that their emotional world is too much for others to understand. Their challenge is to trust that their descent is not a fall, but a sacred spiral, that even when everything breaks, the pieces realign into a higher order. When November-born souls embrace this truth, they become natural healers, guides through grief, companions in darkness, and catalysts for change in everyone they meet. December, the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. Then comes December, wrapped in the hush of snow and the stillness of reflection. As the final month of the year, it carries both the weight of endings and the promise of beginnings. People born in December often embody the dual wisdom of closure and renewal. They are visionary sages, souls who see beyond the surface of things, who speak not only with words, but with insight. They reflect deeply on the past, yet remain hopeful about the future. Their minds are often philosophical, their questions spiritual, and their presence reassuring. December-born individuals are the storytellers, the mentors, the lantern holders for those navigating uncertain paths. But their brilliance lies not just in what they know, it lies in how they integrate it. Their shadow, however, is subtle. They may live too much in the realm of ideas and not enough in the lived moment. They may become frustrated when the world doesn't match their ideals or feel discouraged when others do not see what they see. Their growth requires anchoring their insight in daily life, not escaping into abstraction, but embodying their wisdom in how they love, lead, and live. When they do, their vision becomes not just inspiring, but transformational. Together, these final months represent life's deepening, where the soul no longer seeks to shine outwardly, but inwardly. They remind us that true power is quiet, that growth sometimes wears the robe of grief, and that the most radiant wisdom is born in silence. Whether you were born in October, November, or December, the essence you carry is not accidental. It is archetypal. Your journey is a living metaphor for the world's own evolution, from beauty to breakdown to rebirth. In knowing your month's hidden meaning, you may finally begin to know your own. Beneath the surface of dates and calendars lies a deeper rhythm, the rhythm of the soul, echoing through the symbolic language of time. What we have explored is not merely a sequence of months, but a hidden mirror of inner development. From January's silent introspection to December's visionary wisdom, each birth month holds a psychic blueprint, a whisper from the unconscious, reminding you of who you are becoming. Through Jung's eyes, these archetypes are not rigid roles or personality tests, but sacred invitations. They are keys that open the inner doors you have long sensed but not fully named. Doors leading to the emotional truths, spiritual patterns, and life themes written quietly into the fabric of your existence. To know your birth month's archetype is not to be boxed in, but to be beckoned forward. These symbols reveal tendencies, not destinies. They illuminate your gifts, but they also point to the lessons your soul came to master. And like any true mythic journey, this awareness only becomes transformation when you live it, when you bring the image into your actions, the insight into your choices, and the meaning into your relationships. Jung called this integration the path of individuation, the courageous work of becoming whole, of uniting the visible and invisible within you. It is the soul's great labor, not to become someone else, but to fully remember yourself. What your birth month offers is a seed. Whether it becomes a story of healing, awakening, or silent strength depends on your willingness to tend it. The calendar does not define you, but when read symbolically, it may reveal the very terrain your soul has chosen to walk. Now that you have glimpsed this inner map, the question becomes, will you follow it not as a rule, but as a mirror? Will you allow yourself to grow not into an ideal, but into the authentic self who has always been waiting underneath? The answer, as always, begins in the quiet decision to live with more meaning than before. If this touched something sacred inside you, don't let it fade into silence. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your presence here is not just support, it's resonance. And if you feel moved to give back, your donation becomes a quiet but powerful gesture that helps keep this light alive for others still walking in the